All right, let's talk about something that could genuinely change your life. We're diving into one of the most powerful skills you can possibly learn: how to master your own mind. We're going to lay out a super practical framework for finding and then rewriting the beliefs that are holding you back. So let's get right into it.
Just let that sink in for a second. We all think our potential is this fixed ceiling, this limit we can't break through. But what if that's not the real barrier at all? And there it is. That's the whole game right there. The only limits that truly exist are the ones we've accepted for ourselves. These limiting beliefs, think of them like invisible scripts running in the background of your mind. They're quietly shaping every decision you make, the habits you form, your level of confidence. And the craziest part is, most of the time, we don't even know they're there. But today, we're going to drag them out into the light and learn how to reprogram them for good.
So where do we start? Well, our first job is to actually see these invisible walls for what they are. We have to get really clear on the specific stories we're telling ourselves that keep us stuck in place.
I mean, do any of these sound a little too familiar? I'm not good enough. Oh, I'm just terrible with money. It's way too late for me to start now. Here's the thing. These don't just feel like random thoughts. They feel like facts. And why is that? It's simply because they've been on a loop in our heads, totally unchallenged for maybe years, even decades. They've become our identity by default, not by design. So here's your first real tool for change. The next time you feel that resistance, that fear, that hesitation, just pause and ask yourself this one simple question. What is the story I'm telling myself right now? Just being able to name the story, that's the first crack in the wall. Okay, so what's the master key that unlocks this whole process? It's a simple idea, but it is incredibly profound. And it's this: your beliefs are not facts. Seriously, beliefs are not these unchangeable truths carved in stone. They're just conclusions. That's it. Conclusions we formed based on old data. Things that happened to us, stuff we heard over and over, really emotional moments, or just what society told us was true. They're our interpretation of reality, not reality itself. And that leads us to the most empowering idea of all. If a belief was learned, well, then it can be unlearned, it can be updated, and you can replace it with a new one that actually helps you get where you want to go. Okay, so the theory is great, but how do we actually do it? Let's get practical. Let's get into the toolkit for rewiring your mind. This is a 5-step framework that you can apply to literally any limiting belief you have. And here it is, the 5-step framework. We're going to go through each one, but here's the overview. First, you identify the story. Second, you trace it back to where it came from. Third, you challenge it, like a detective looking for evidence. Fourth, you replace it with a new, empowering, and this is key, believable alternative. And finally, the most critical step of all, you install that new belief through action. So let's walk through an example. Step 1, identify. Let's say you always avoid looking at your bank account. That avoidance is a clue. You stop and ask, okay, what's the story here? And maybe the story that pops up is, I'm just bad with money. Boom, you've identified the belief. Now for step 2, trace the origin. Ask yourself, when did I first decide this was true? Maybe you remember your parents always fighting about bills. Or maybe a teacher once told you you weren't good at math. The moment you see where it came from, it starts to lose its power. You realize it's just an old echo, not a current fact about you. Step 3 is where you become a detective. You challenge it with evidence. You ask, is it really 100% always true that I'm bad with money? Have you ever saved up for something you really wanted? Do you pay your rent on time? Ever found a killer deal on something? All you need is one tiny piece of counter evidence to prove the old belief is a lie. That's enough to start breaking it down. Now we're at step 4. Replace it with an empowering belief. And listen, this is so important. This is not about toxic positivity or just telling yourself something you don't believe. The new belief has to feel possible. So instead of going from I'm bad at this to I'm a genius at this, you shift to something like I'm learning and improving through action. See the difference? One is a dead end, the other is a path forward. And finally, the step that makes it all real. Step 5, install through action. This is the absolute game changer. You don't change beliefs by thinking about them. You change beliefs by giving your brain new proof. You have to take one small, concrete action that aligns with your new belief. Maybe you just track your spending for one day, or you open a savings account and put $5 in it. That small action tells your brain, hey, see, the new story is the true one. Behavior is what rewires belief. And to really get why action is the key, you have to understand the vicious cycle that keeps old beliefs locked in.
It all starts with the belief itself. For instance, I'm not a good public speaker.
So what does that belief drive? Your action. Or, more likely, your inaction. You turn down chances to speak, and if you absolutely have to, you do it full of anxiety, looking at your feet.
Well, what happens then? Your hesitant action creates the very evidence you're expecting. You stumble over your words, you get nervous, and your brain goes, "See? I told you, we're terrible at this." And that evidence provides the final step, reinforcement. The belief just got stronger, and the whole loop starts over, even more powerful than before. Our whole goal with this 5-step framework is to hijack this process and install a brand new positive loop. Now, before you dive in, I want to give you a quick heads up on some of the common traps people fall into. Let's just go over the big pitfalls to avoid so you can make this journey way smoother and a lot more effective. Okay, number 1. The biggest mistake by far, just repeating affirmations without taking any action. You can't just tell your brain you're confident, you have to show it. Second, don't try to argue with a belief or fight it with emotion. That's like pouring gasoline on a fire. Get curious about it instead. Another big one is trying to change everything all at once. Nope. Pick one belief and focus on it. And finally, please do not wait until you feel confident to take action. The action comes first, and the feeling of confidence comes after.
So what's the ultimate point of all this mental work? What's the big prize at the end? It's so much more than just changing a few negative thoughts. It's about consciously, deliberately forging a new identity. You know, we hear all this stuff about setting bigger goals, 10xing our ambitions, but there's a much deeper truth at play. That's it. Your beliefs about who you are and what you're capable of, that's the real ceiling on your life. Your world will always expand or shrink to fit the container of your own self-concept. And this is how real transformation actually happens. It's a simple, beautiful chain reaction. The moment you truly change a core belief about yourself, your daily decisions start to change automatically to match that new identity. And as you start making different decisions day in and day out, your life has no choice but to follow. Those new actions, they compound over time and they build an entirely new reality for you. That right there is the engine of real, lasting change. So I'll leave you with this final question. You have the framework now. You have the understanding. The only thing left to do is to put it to work. So ask yourself, what is the one belief that, if I changed it, would have the biggest positive impact on my life? What belief will you choose to reprogram first?